Hello, today we are going to work on a heart bracelet, and to make that I'm using 1mm silk cord, and I have two pieces that are 16 inches, two pieces that are 25 inches, and then I have one piece 14 inches. Now, you probably get this at most craft stores. I purchased mine from AliExpress, but I'm sure you can find them in a craft store. I'm using 6mm and 4mm beads. These are crystal rondelle, but any beads will work. And we're going to need 4 of the 4mm and 2 of the 6mm. I have a large-eyed needle. I have a scrap piece of, this is 22 gauge wire. It's just silver plated wire, and it's just a scrap. Anything that you have will work fine. I have 16 gauge wire, and this is just silver plated copper wire, and this is the wire that I got from Walmart. I have a couple of flat nose pliers here, a round nose wire cutter. I have a heavy duty wire cutter and a file. Someone gave me this file. I have a chasing hammer and an anvil or something that you can hammer on. A pair of scissors, some tape, a binder clip, and something to work on. And I am not sure if that's it, but I'll let you know as we go along. Okay, I have started by just rubbing my fingers over this wire to get it to straighten out for me. If you want your heart to be precise, you're going to need a ruler. I'm not sure it matters. But I'm going to use the flat side of my wire cutters to cut this wire. It means less filing in the end. And I'm going to go with a 4-inch heart. So I'm going to line it up with the 2-inch. And again, this does not have to be precise. Just going to grab a hold of it with my pliers and just bend it in half. Now let's really tighten this up down here at the bottom. We can tighten it more in a minute. And then using the flat side, let's get rid of this ruler, we don't need that anymore. Using the flat side of my wire cutter, I'm just going to go ahead and cut off kind of sort of even. And I'm going to deal with filing these ends right now. Get them nice and smooth. So go ahead and file the ends of your wire. So I have filed the ends of my wire, and I have squeezed that bottom as much as I can using 16 gauge wire. It's a little tough. So now I'm going to separate these wires and open this V back up. Now, since this is a 16 gauge wire, I'm going to start by trying to curl it just a little bit to get me started in the right direction. So this is what I have. Now using our round nose plier, I'm just going to start coiling this downward to make the shape of our heart. Now this heart can be elongated, it can be chunky, however you want your heart to look. So just go ahead and get it into a heart shape. And repeat that on the other side. So here is my heart, and yes, the two sides of my heart are slightly different, but that's just personal preference. You can make them identical if you'd like. Now I'm just going to use the ball peen of my chasing hammer, the ball end, to hammer this heart on both sides. And we don't really need to work hard in this because it is 16 gauge, but I just like the look of it. So this is optional. If you don't want to hammer it, you don't have to. So here is the heart hammered, and it's wonky and out of shape, and that is to be expected when you're hammering wire. So we'll just kind of work with it, get it back into a reasonable shape and flatness. That's what's so great about wire. And take your time. There's no reason why everything has to be in a big hurry. So there we go. We have a heart. We're going to be putting stress on this heart so that there's a good possibility that whoever's wearing it could possibly pull this apart accidentally. So I have a piece of scrap wire here, and I mean, you could use 20 gauge, 24, 26. I just happen to have 22 gauge, and this piece is really too big for what I want to do, so I'm going to trim it down a little bit. And I'm going to start myself off with a bend just to make life easier. And I'm going to leave a tail to help me out. So I'm going to put this on my heart. We're just going to wrap a few times, creating what are we creating? Lost my train of thought. We're just making it so that it's not, the heart is not going to separate from itself. So just wrap this around, and you can wrap it as many times as you want. And it doesn't have to be super, super tight. Slightly tight would be nice, but you want to avoid crossing these two pieces of wire across each other. If you do, we will fix it, but if you can avoid it to begin with, then that's one less fix we got to do. So I have 3 wraps here, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Here are the ducks today. Alright, so let's go ahead and trim so that our end is kind of in the center of this wrap. And squeeze it down. Now if you were so inclined, you could just make a loop on this. Make a loop here and hang a bead from it. You could also connect with jump rings a little piece of chain to dangle down and hang a bead from it. But I'm going plain and simple today. Make sure you feel these ends. Make sure that they're secure and they're down and they're not going to scratch you or whoever's wearing it. And there we go. We have bound our heart so that it doesn't pull apart. I have one of the 16-inch pieces of cord. I'm going to attach this to my heart, making sure that it's right side up. with the lark's head knot. And tighten that up. Okay. Now, my beads, I have one of the 6mm beads, and they came on this piece of nylon or whatever this is. And I have cut a piece of that so that I could get this cord onto my bead. Now, if your bead has a large enough hole, you could skip this. And also, if you don't have this little piece of plastic, you could use like a 28 gauge or 30 gauge piece of wire. Now I have threaded that through my bead, and it's going to act as a needle basically to get my string through my bead. And I have to do it one at a time because the hole is so small that I'm not able to do two at a time. So hopefully this won't give me too much of a fight on camera here, because sometimes it is quite a fight. Let's see what happens. Oh, there we go. A lot of times I'll have to use a pair of chain nose pliers to get this to pull through. But it's cooperating. So let's tighten that knot back up, push our bead all the way up. There we go. Now I'm going to work on this notebook and tape down this heart just to hold it in place for me while I work. And for the other end, wrap this cord around and hold it with the clip. So now we're ready to begin. Now I have a piece of the 25-inch cord, just trying to find the center here. And I always begin by tying it otherwise I'll never get the ends even close to being equal. So I just begin by tying my cord on. And I think at the beginning I said that this was silk cord, but this is nylon cord, not silk cord. And you could use whatever you want. Okay. Now what we're going to do is 10 half square knots. Then we're going to do 10 square knots. But we're going to count each side. So it's not going to be complete whole square knots as far as 10 goes. Then we're going to do another 10 half square knots and then 5 square knots. Okay, well, let's just do it. We're going to begin with our left cord. Put it underneath of our threads and over top of the right cord. Now take the right cord and put it through this loop that we have here and pull tight. And that's all there is to it. Let's do 10 of those. That was 1. 2. 3. 4. And this is 5. And now this is creating a spiral. So let's flip this, put our right cord to our left, and pull this left cord over to the right so that we can continue working. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now I'm going to go ahead and flip this around again, make it easier to work with. Now we're going on to a complete square knot. So with our right cord, we're going to go under, over, and through. That's one. Do the same thing on the alternating side. Two. Now to the right side. 3. Left side. 4. Right side. 5. Left side. 6. Right side. 7. Left side. 8. Right side. 9, and left side. And that's 10. Now we're going to make 10 of the half square knots, just like before, to create that spiral. And on the same side. So that's 1. 2. 3. It wants to flip, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. It wants to flip. 9. And 10. And then back to complete square knots. So starting on the right side. That's 1. Now the left side. That's 2. Right side. That's 3, left side, that's 4, and right side is 5. So this side of our bracelet is completed. Now, of course, you could do this half square knot spiral all the way down, or you could do complete square knots all the way down, however you want to do it. So now we're going to remove this from the notebook and deal with our ends. Okay, now I have my large eye needle, but the point is, it's broken. I think I broke the point on this a long time ago. So it is not a sharp needle. Anyway, let's flip our piece over to the back, and I like to put the needle through the stitches first and then thread it. And we're just going through the stitches of the bracelet that we made. And it can be tricky, and you just take your time. Okay, and then I thread on my cord. And sometimes I do need to use chain nose pliers to pull this needle through. But we'll see what happens right now. Well, I can't even seem to get it threaded. Okay. Now we're just going to pull this through, and I'm guessing I'm going to need pliers. Okay, no problem. That's why I have them. So I'm just going to kind of twist and pull until I get this to go through and come out. There we go. I'm going to drop it, and then just pull that nice and tight. And let's repeat that for the other side. Get this needle through here the best way we can. It's actually kind of hard to do, making sure you can see. Hopefully you can. There we go. Right back through where the other cord went through. And I'll attempt to thread this onto my needle and pull this one through. There, I got it threaded. Let's see if we can get this to pull through. Alright. Kind of twist and pull till you get it through there. It will eventually come out. There we go. Pull that nice and tight. And there we go. We have a nice clean finish. Now, one thing we do need, I forgot to mention, is a lighter. Get my scissors here. I'm going to trim these. Kind of close, but not so close that I can't melt the ends without burning the actual bracelet. So let's go ahead and melt these ends. There we go. And flatten that out. And there we go. Now you're going to do this exact same thing. Strange way that last clip ended, but I ran out of memory. All I said was just do the same thing on the other side of the heart. So here we have our bracelet ready to do the clasp. So I'm going to bring back my notebook. And I'm just going to bring my cords. Let's see, where's the back? Bring my cords over so that I can make my closure. And I'm just going to tape these down, hold them in place for me while I work. I don't know what's on that piece of tape. Now you make your closure as long or as short as you want to. Okay. Now this is the last piece of nylon cord. It's the 14-inch piece. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and tie down, working over all 4 of our cords here. And we're just going to do a square knot for our closure. But I'm going to start by just a simple little tie down here to keep everything going in place. So you can start left or right. I'll start right. Doesn't matter. Just going to repeat the same thing. Now on the other side. And I'm not going to count this time because I'm going to leave it up to you how long you want your closure to be. Now the right side. And get it through there. Net under, over. Now the left side. And the right side. And the left side. I'm going to put this tape down further so it's not in my way, and now it's all jumbled up, but that's okay. Right side. Left side. I guess I'll go one more square knot. So right side. And left side. Now we're going to finish these ends up the same way we did before with the needle. But this time, you need to be very careful that you don't catch any of these cords in your needle when you're putting it through. Otherwise, it's going to be extremely difficult. Well, it'll be impossible to actually close your bracelet. So go ahead and thread your needle, put it through, burn these ends exactly the same way that we did these ends, and then we will catch back up. Okay, I have my closure completed. So now that we have that done, we can slide this open and closed. Now to finish off our bracelet, what I like to do is open it to the largest part of my hand. So about there, I guess. And once I figure that size out, I just go ahead and tie knots in all of my ends. Up close. Well, first of all, let's make sure we separated it evenly. Okay, it's good. Just separate it evenly. Now, just tie a knot like that, and do that on the other 3 cords as well. I have tied knots, and I just don't think it's important to make sure all the knots are in the same place, but you could do that if you want. Let's close this bracelet up so we have more working room here. Now we know this is where our bead needs to stop. I have the 4mm beads, and this is probably going to be quite a struggle, but I'm going to use my high-tech plastic tool here. Put it onto my 4mm bead. Now let's see if we can get it onto this cord. Okay, let's get a pair of pliers. Here we go. Wasn't too horrible. Now slide this right up to that knot that you made, and now we're just going to make another knot to secure that bead into place. Now let's get that knot up close to our bead. There we go, and repeat that with the other 3 cords. So now I have all of my beads on, and for each one of these, you're just going to trim this cord down and just melt the end. So do that for all of them. So all of my ends are dealt with now, and our bracelet is complete. I don't know if I can actually do this. I'll let you in on a little secret. I don't wear jewelry. I make it, I just don't wear it. So bear with me in this awkward time. Oh, well, there we go. I got it on. So there we are. Sweet little heart bracelet. Adjustable heart bracelet. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching.